Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm happy to welcome you to this live online discussion about Rhodes Scholars' intergenerational programs, exciting educational adventures for you and your grandchild. Tonight you'll hear from a member of the Rhodes Scholar program staff about the philosophy behind our intergenerational programs, how we plan them and how it all works. Then you'll hear about the personal experiences of two participants, Mike and Pauline, who have brought their grandchildren on programs. Our presenters will speak to you for about 20 minutes, and after that we'll have plenty of time to answer your questions. You don't have to wait until the end to submit your questions. Just type them in at any time into the chat box throughout the presentation, and we'll get to as many of them as we can at the end. So let me turn it over to Michael Calmes. Michael knows Rhodes Scholar as well as just about anyone. He has worked for the organization for 28 years in a variety of roles. Michael is now Rhodes Scholar's Associate Director for North American Program Development. He spends a lot of time planning new intergenerational programs and ensuring that all of our intergenerational programs are fun, educational experiences. Michael?
Thanks, Lucy. Thanks to all of you in the webinar for joining us tonight. We've got a really great turnout. I see that we have folks from all over New England and further away from Minnesota, Colorado, Hawaii, California, Canada, and even my home state of Louisiana. Let's begin by just telling you a bit about Rhodes Scholar. People have been learning, traveling, and making new friends in our educational travel program since 1975. We were founded originally as Elder Hostel, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the idea that adults are never too old to learn and grow. And we're all really proud of the fact that throughout our history, we've changed America's perceptions of aging and what older people can do. Today, Rhodes Scholar offers 6,500, that's 6,500 educational adventures in all 50 states in more than 150 countries around the world. But tonight we're going to focus on just one special kind of program, intergenerational programs in which grandparents and grandkids learn and have fun together. We also refer to these informally as grandparent programs. We're going to give you a lot of information about them, and then we'll answer your questions. Let me start by taking a look.
The group offers educational programs to the senior set, including a popular summer camp that's designed to bridge the generation gap.
Well, let's go out this way. Today we're out trying to find organisms in this marsh area. We take a shovel, dig a scoop of mud up, put it into a screen box, screen all the dirt out of it, and then collect the little animals that don't go through the screen.
Here's a little shrimp.
Put them in a jar of water and take them back to the lab.
All right.
My granddaughter's name is Lydia Crane, and she's 9 years old. The opportunity to come and spend a week together doing something educational, I think, is fantastic. She hasn't even called home. She has decided that this is her week with her grandpa, and she's going to have a good time.
Wendell Ogden is one of 18 grandparents and 16 grandchildren attending an intergenerational summer camp. No parents allowed. During the week-long program, campers will study marine biology at the Marine Science Consortium in Wallops Island, Virginia.
Science has really been fun for me. I'm learning like so much. I don't know how to put it. It's just like tons.
Hannah Seabree is learning a lot about mollusks and orthopods, but she's also learning about her grandpa, Richard Dice.
A lot of kids, they don't hang out with their grandparents because they don't do the same things, they don't like the same things. But when you get to know them, you find a lot of things in common. It's very nice getting to know your grandparents without your mom and dad, because they're always like, oh yeah, go hug them, go kiss them. This is more time than I spent with my grandparents ever.
And we've laid out everything we've caught to date today.
We handle our laboratories as an overview. They do a lot of identification. They can see, they can feel, they touch, what everything is.
Same thing, with the exception that they're not encrusting.
Stephen Roth is a marine biologist and the camp coordinator. He says the idea works because both generations share common interests in learning.
It's amazing. It sort of opens up the lines of communication. I think the educational aspects, the field trips, the labs, is sort of the gel that opens up those lines. And there's a tremendous amount of bonding.
And they're all on page 245 and 246.
Virginia, we have many pristine salt marshes which lie right behind our barrier islands, and there's tremendous diversity of organisms out there.
It's third trial, 65 seconds.
This morning on the boat, we sampled water from different depths using the Van Doren bottle. And then we had a chemical station in which we looked at the temperature of that water at certain depths.
And what did we get for density?
We did do pH and we did salinity. Now they get a fair overview of the ecosystems, and then they also get a fair overview of the typical organisms that we have.
This is something that we both approach. We both sit down and learn, and we ask each other questions. You're on a whole different footing with your grandchild, and you're enjoying some experiences together that the parents haven't had. So it builds a relationship there that wasn't there before.
I hope they leave with, first of all, a little bit more respect and appreciation for the coastal environments that we have here, and also maybe a little bit of a quality time that they've spent with their grandchildren.
Starfish. By week's end, these campers, young and old, were happy to report that a generation gap was nowhere in sight.
I think every grandparent should do this. I'll definitely remember this trip for a long time, and then probably I'll take my grandchildren on something like this.
I guess the generations get along pretty well. Maybe they have a common enemy, the parents.
Well, as you just saw, these programs bring two generations together to share the learning experience as well as the fun and laughter. Both grandparents and grandkids are active participants. Depending on the program, you could spend all or most of your day engaged in activities together. On some programs, there may be time for the kids to enjoy a supervised activity while the grandparents attend a presentation or take a field trip. But in either case, we make sure it's a great experience for both of you. You're not just there to watch. Last year, Rhodes Scholar offered 162 different intergenerational programs that were attended by nearly 7,000 people. Most of these programs take place in the summer when kids are out of school and free to travel. This summer, we'll have grandparents and grandkids exploring together all across the U.S. Abroad, we have programs in Australia, Costa Rica, Cuba, the Galapagos Islands, Germany, Ireland, Spain, and Turkey, and that's just a few. Now, I know you're asking, how do you choose among so many options? Well, the first step is to find a program that's right for your grandchild's age range. We have programs for grandkids all the way from 8 to 17, and I don't have to tell you that 8-year-olds and 17-year-olds have very different opinions of what's interesting and cool. To make sure the program is educationally and socially structured for a comfortable fit, each Rhodes Scholar intergenerational program is designed for a specific age range, such as 8 to 11, 9 to 12, and so on. And the age ranges are indicated in our catalog and on the website. So the most important part of planning an intergenerational program is finding expert instructors, people who are great with kids and who can make the program a valuable experience for grandparents at the same time. Our instructors specialize in leading safe, educational, fun experiences for you and your young learner. While you are ultimately in charge of your grandchild, our instructors and program staff will maintain the structure in the organization that creates an enriching learning adventure for everyone. One really interesting thing that we've seen happening is that these programs become a family tradition. A grandparent will take one grandchild on a program for, let's say, his 10th birthday. It then becomes a tradition that each successive grandchild to turn 10 gets to go on a program with the grandparents. And some participants tell us that it's got to the point where their grandchildren are talking about where they'll go in their program a couple of years ahead of time. Rhodes Scholar also offers a selection of family programs that you, your grandkids, and their parents can attend together. You can find them on the website too. If a multi-generation program is really what you're looking for, you might want to call one of our advisors who will be able to help you find the right one for your family. We'll make sure you get all that contact information that you need before you leave with us tonight. It's also possible to create a private learning adventure for just members of your family. Whether it's a family reunion, a special occasion, or just for fun, many of our intergenerational adventures can be selected as a private group charter for your family. We'll give you the information you need about that option later as well. There are Rhodes Scholar intergenerational programs for just about everything your grandchild might want to learn about. Let me give you just a few examples of some of our most popular adventures. On Mount Rushmore, Crazy Horse in the Badlands, you'll of course learn about the area's history. But you'll also go horseback riding, splash around in a warm water spring, visit a mammoth sinkhole, discover ancient fossils, and even learn how to pan for gold. Share a marine science adventure with your grandchild, the program you just saw in the video earlier. You'll pull in a net full of wiggly creatures, examine microscopic life in a drop of seawater, and learn about the horseshoe crab and, of course, the famous pigfish. Tropical Paradise is a very popular program in Costa Rica. On this one, you'll explore the base of an active volcano to learn about geothermal activity, join a turtle expert to search for nesting sea turtles, and then zip line through the jungle canopy and past waterfalls. A fine example of our international version is Magical Oxford in the UK, where you'll learn about the inspiration for books by Lewis Carroll, J.R.R. Tolkien, Roald Dahl, and J.K. Rowling, and enjoy a magical banquet in the Great Hall of Christ Church, famous from its film role as the Hogwarts Dining Room. As I said before, there are many more exciting intergenerational programs for you to take a look at on our website. Washington, D.C., a capital intergenerational adventure, river rafting the Grand Canyon, traveling back in time in Virginia, the Daniel Boone experience, intergenerational Quetal, Barcelona, and intergenerational African wildlife encounters. These are just a few that are among the choices that you can make. Another really nice feature that we have now is that on our website, you'll find program reviews so you can see what actual participants thought of a program, and discussion boards where you can find and talk to other folks who are enrolled in the program or considering enrolling. Now I'd like to introduce a couple of people who've experienced Rhodes Scholars International Generations firsthand. Mike Zub has been with Rhodes Scholars since the very beginning. He was actually the first official employee and has played a monumental role in making Rhodes Scholar what it is today. But he'd never been part of an intergenerational program until he brought his granddaughter Gwen on a program in Arizona last year. Mike, thanks for being here tonight. Let me ask you first how you chose the intergenerational program you did.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. When I thought of Gwen and the type of experience we might have together, I thought about her own life experience. She had spent almost all her summers as a young child on the ocean, and so she was quite familiar with that part of the world, and I wanted to offer her a totally different experience. So I found a number of programs that I thought she might enjoy that were different than anything she had experienced in her life, and I shared those with her mom and dad and referred them to the Rhodes Scholar website so that they could take a look at the programs. We then talked on the phone several times, and we narrowed down the alternative choices, and we then presented Gwen with 3 choices and 3 different programs that she might find exciting and we hope were right for her, as we wanted her to choose the program herself. She had the opportunity to take a course in archaeology, and she was interested in the Grand Canyon and the Western States and Native Americans, and so we found a course in Arizona that offered all that, a 37-mile rafting trip to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, as well as a helicopter ride right up to the rim. So we thought that was pretty exciting, and it was a great choice. It just couldn't have turned out better.
And how was the program?
Well, it was a real special event in my life and something I'll never forget. Time spent with one's grandchildren experiencing new things together is just unique. And interacting with Gwen one-on-one was special. Watching her take on new challenges, try new things. A young girl from the Upper East Side of New York, not used to handling snakes and looking at spiders and climbing up and down the Grand Canyon, but it was just terrific. And it was absolutely fascinating to watch from that first night when she was kind of clingy and hanging next to Grandpa, to coalescing, forming with a group, and becoming a group of their own. And I just watched her grow right before my eyes. And it was also nice for the grandparents, because we grew together, learned about each other's lives, and took not only an interest in what our own grandchild was doing, but took a particular interest in the other children, watched out for them, and interacted with them on a daily basis. So it was really an incredible experience.
You know, what about the educational content and the pace? Could the grandparents keep up with the kids?
We tried, and they're hard to keep up with, but it was really appropriate for both levels. I thought the kids were able to get it although some of the material I thought was, you know, of significant academic interest, but I never felt talked down to at the same time. Physically, it was challenging, which of course the kids handled with ease. Some of the grandparents from time to time chose to opt out of a particularly difficult climb. That was fine. Everybody used common sense and used their own judgment, and people just did a great job.
If you ask Gwen, what would she say is her favorite memory of the program?
Well, she was particularly interested in the Native Americans, and we had a unique opportunity one morning on the Wallapai Reservation when a great-grandmother from the tribe brought her newest great-grandson along with her grandchildren to meet the participants, to talk about life on the reservation, to talk about the particular customs of that tribe. And Gwen thought it was really cool. She brought along her 3-month-old great-grandson in a little special papoose. And the little boy, wrapped in his blanket, had a leather bag around his neck. And it was just like the leather bag that Gwen had made, a medicine bag, in one of the arts classes. And the bag had in it the little boy, the umbilical cord of his mother, because that connotated a connection to his tribe and to his people. And it was really an extraordinarily moving experience.
No, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how difficult would it have been for you to try to put together something like that? No, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Well, I couldn't have done it.
I
could have purchased a river raft expedition down the Grand Canyon, I suppose, and a helicopter ride. But the instructor's good. In the evening, there were a specialist who spoke about the flora and the fauna of the regions of the Grand Canyon that we were in Sedona, and the wildlife, the opportunity to speak to the Native Americans and for Gwen to ask questions and respond to them about their life on the reservation. And it isn't something that you could replicate on your own. They even convinced me into folk dancing and storytelling one night, something I'm not very good at, but they did it, and I had a great time.
Thanks, Mike. Can you stick around? Thanks, Mike. Can you stick around a few minutes and answer some questions? Now I'll welcome Pauline Nelson. Pauline is a supervisor at our Customer Service Center in Lowell, Massachusetts. So if you called us on the phone to enroll in a program or ask a question in the past, you may already have spoken to her. Pauline also experienced her first intergenerational program recently, but she chose an international adventure. Pauline, tell us how you chose.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody. For me, it started with my granddaughter, Mackenzie, studying hippos in school. She knew that my husband and I had traveled to Africa before, and she told us that her class was studying the animals of Africa, and she was assigned the hippo. She said she had learned so much about them and how unbelievable it would be to see one in the wild up close. The next day, my husband and I started talking about it. Obviously, going to Africa with an 11-year-old is very ambitious, but we decided that with Road Scholar, we could do it. So many people had told me what a great time they had had on our intergenerational programs, and I wanted to try it for myself. So I found a program called Intergenerational Kenya, Big Cats, Baby Elephants, and Maasai Warriors, and gave Mackenzie the good news.
If I had a grandkid, that's exactly the one I'd take.
Absolutely fantastic. There were 3 girls and 5 boys, all ages 10 through 13, plus their grandparents. The kids immediately bonded like they had known each other forever. Whether it was learning phrases and animal names in Swahili together or just swimming in the pool. They got along so well, it was amazing. Mackenzie brought her Nintendo DS, and she only used it on the plane. I never saw her take it out once the entire time. And every grandparent had a wonderful time because the grandchildren were having a wonderful time. The best part was getting to experience an amazing place through your grandchild. You watch them experiencing something new and their faces just light up. Each child picked an animal to study, and although I thought Mackenzie would choose the hippo, she wanted to learn about something new and chose the giraffe, probably because she got a kiss from one at the Giraffe Center on the second day of our program. Every once in a while, she'd turn to us and say, "I hope you're having as much fun as I am," and we were. It was an incredible adventure with something new around every corner. Nature walks with giraffes, monkeys, warthogs, and zebras, a boat ride to see hippos up close, songs around the campfire at night.
Pauline, what are some of your favorite memories from that program?
There was a night we stayed at the tented camp in the Maasai Mara National Reserve. You heard the animals around you all night long. There were no fences around the camp, but there were security guards, so we felt very safe. We would lie in bed and listen to the sounds in the night and try and identify the animals. We also visited a Maasai village. We brought balls and frisbees with us, and the grandchildren started playing with the kids in the village. It was really neat to see the interaction of the children and how they were just at ease and so natural with them. In the evening, the young boys would bring the goats in that had been out grazing into the village, and as the Maasai boys herded the goats in, our kids tried to help. Of course, they'd never done this before, so they were sending the goats in every direction but the right one. By the end of the time, the village was laughing. Everybody thought it was hysterical.
What would you say to anybody out there who's considering their first intergenerational program?
I would say don't hesitate, just do it. As adults, we're all worried about the obstacles that are in our way, but kids just go and have a ball. I was much more nervous than Mackenzie ever was. Pick a subject that they're interested in and go for it. The memories will be there forever. And it doesn't have to be as exotic as Kenya. Wherever you choose to go, it will be a new and exciting experience that you're sharing with your grandchild.
Okay, I think we're ready to answer some of your questions.
To as many as we can. Has asked, what's the average group size on an intergenerational program? Michael, you want to answer that one?
The average currently is about 30. It might be a little more in a U.S. program and a little smaller in an international program. But they're really about equal these days, and 30 is a good size.
Originally, and I was around when we first developed
hard as that is for me to believe. Originally, they were designed with the idea that this would be an opportunity for the grandparent to bond with the grandchild, because so many grandparents and grandkids were separated by distance. So we do design our intergenerational programs, especially for grandparents and grandkids. Having the parents there, we found in a few instances, changes the dynamic. And we just found that if one kid's parents are there, it can make the others homesick. So we don't go for that reason, too. We do offer programs for all three generations. And if anyone listening...
so Eleanor has asked, can one grandparent bring two grandchildren on a program? Michael?
They're designed primarily for a one-to-one adult-to-kid ratio.
They're designed primarily for a one-to-one adult-to-kid ratio, and that's by far the most common arrangement, and it's what we usually recommend. If there is a grandmother or grandfather, they can certainly bring two grandchildren. If you are one grandparent and want to bring more than one grandchild, you can call us, and it will depend on the circumstances.
Kathy has asked us, what are the bed configurations for groups of 3 or more? Pauline, do you want to take that one?
Sure. All family members will share a room on just about every program. Our advisor
kind of following on, I think, to that question, Susie's asked, can I have the grandchildren stay in one room and us stay in another?
No, we do require at least one grandparent has to be in the same room as the grandchild or grandchildren.
Okay. So Janet has asked, what if my grandchild isn't quite in the age range for the program I want to take him on?
Usually grandchildren who are within 6 months older or younger than the stated age range can be accepted. We want to make sure your grandchild has a wonderful experience, but we found that a younger child, no matter how bright and well-behaved, may not enjoy spending time with an older child. Children who are significantly older than the group may feel bored or have a hard time relating to the other kids.
And Jim has asked us, do grandparents and grandchildren attend all activities together? Do I have to do all the activities my grandchild does?
No, not all the time, but the programs are designed primarily for you and your grandchild to enjoy all of these experiences together. On some intergenerational programs, there are times when the group is split up for a little while, and the kids may go do something that's a little more active. Maybe they'll go swimming or something, and the grandparents might have a lecture. On some programs, they're together the whole time. And if there ever is an activity that's too physically challenging for you and you want to sit it out, the group leaders
Pat has asked us about
accommodate.
special diets. What special diets can you accommodate for the children? Pauline, you want to?
Well, meals do vary wildly from program to program, and it depends on where you are. But if either you or your grandchild has a special dietary restriction or food allergies, please let our advisors know, and we'll do our very best to accommodate you.
Kay has asked us, can I find out the ages of the other children attending the program?
Remember, I mentioned before that we publish the age ranges, and we do try to stick pretty close to that, give or take a few months. So the age ranges are fairly narrow, and we hope and expect all the kids will be able to get along well together.
I have another question from Jenny about the other kids on the program. She has asked us, can I find out how many boys or girls are attending the program?
If you give us a call before the start of the program, we'll be able to look this up and let you know. But we won't have the information available at the time you enroll. Of course, we don't share any personal information about the participants, kids or adults, but we will be able to give you that information.
And Eileen has asked us about what forms or documents are required for grandchildren to attend one of these programs.
All intergenerational programs will require a health and safety form and a parental consent form. Our intergenerational programs require passport information for both you and your grandchild. There may be other forms depending on the program, but don't worry, we'll make sure everything is in order well.
Daniel has asked us, how can we get a detailed description of the
You can
physical
go ahead and check on our
level?
website. We do have that available. Or, of course, you can contact our Participant Services call center, and they'd be more than happy to help you. And Pauline has asked, how far in advance do I need to buy Again,
a
we
plane
have a
ticket?
full-service travel agency that will be able to help you with that. So they'll be able to go over the flight information, when tickets need to be purchased, etc.
Stephen has asked us, how quickly do
intergenerational programs fill
get
fast.
booked up?
They're very popular, so if you're interested, you need to sign up. As Michael had mentioned, year after year, grandparents are looking at these programs with their grandchildren. So
Carla has asked us, how old does a child need to be to participate?
Every program is designed for a particular age range, but the youngest that we take is, I believe, 8.
And Alice has asked us, how do I order a catalog on intergenerational programs?
Go ahead and give our call center, Participant Service, a call, and our advisors will be more than happy to help you with all that information.
Well, that is terrific. So we just got one additional question about programs in cities. I think a lot of people have spoken this evening about our programs in more outdoor environments, and do we have programs that are offered in urban areas?
Oh, we have lots of those. Almost every major American city.
Oh, we have lots of those. Almost every major American city where we have signature city programs also usually has an Intergen program, and I think the same is true in Europe as well. We have great programs in New York. There's a program where kids study going on to Broadway. And
I think we saw on one of the previous slides too, we had a Barcelona and a Paris program.
We have Barcelona, Paris, London, there are any number. So all you really have to do is check the catalog or go online and you'll find everything.
Well, I think that has brought us to the end of the questions that we've received in today's presentation. If you didn't receive an answer to your question from one of our presenters, then certainly we'll answer your question via email in the next couple of days. We're putting all of our contact information up on your screen again, so please get in touch with us if you have any more questions. I want to thank you all so much for joining us and for submitting so many great questions. We all hope that we've inspired you to join us on a learning adventure with your grandchild soon.